Hey everyone, this is Michel Bron with Beverly Company Luxury Properties. And as you may have heard, there has been a significant legal settlement involving the National Association of Realtors, also known as NAR, NAR. That's changing some of the key aspects of the real estate agent's compensation process. This new process is nationwide and it is affecting every single realtor in the country. So whether you are a past client of ours or someone new to the home buying or selling process, I'd like to break down what the changes mean for you from the buyer's perspective and from the seller's perspective. Now, before I get into all the details, it would be great if you could give us a thumbs up and like and subscribe to our videos on YouTube. Now, this is going to be a somewhat detailed video. So to make sure I don't leave anything out, I'm going to read most of it from a script, if you don't mind. First of all, let's get the standard but very important disclosure. Keep in mind that this video is merely a simplified version of the NAR settlement changes, that each and every situation is different. I am not an attorney, nor am I qualified to advise on real estate law. And if you have any questions regarding the contract, you should seek counsel in your specific situation, and I encourage you to consult with a real estate attorney. So, what is the NAR settlement all about? Well, recently, NAR settled a nationwide lawsuit challenging how real estate commissions were structured, particularly the practice of how sellers were setting commission for the buyer's agents. The settlement has led to several important changes aimed at increasing transparency and giving both the sellers and the buyers more control over commission negotiation. Now, first, I'm going to go over the seller's perspective and how the commission negotiation is going to work. Now, the new process will give sellers more options and more control over how the buyer's commission will be paid and by whom. As a seller, you will be able to openly negotiate the buyer's agent's commission, decide whether you want to offer to pay a commission at all to the buyer's agent or not, or adjust the amount of the commission based on the current market in your area or your particular selling strategy. This increased strategy and transparency is intended to allow sellers to make more informed decisions and could potentially lead to new ways of pricing and negotiating your home. So who will pay for the buyer's agent commission? So traditionally, if you remember, or if you have already bought a house or not, the buyer would pay X amount of money to buy the seller's house, and then the seller would deduct a percentage of that gross amount. It used to be traditionally approximately 5%, although it was always negotiable. And then the seller would take that small portion of the sales price, and it would give half to the buyer's broker's agent and half to the other brokerage that the buyer's agent is working for. So half to the seller's agent, half to the buyer's agent. That was the traditional way. It was taken from the purchase price that the buyer was paying for. So as you can see, the commission was always coming from the buyer's funds to buy the property, and then the seller would use a portion of that money to pay both agents' commission. The settlement opens the door to more varied approaches. In some cases, buyers now may be responsible for compensating their own agent directly instead of sending the money to the seller and including it in the purchase price. Keep in mind that this new strategy could lead to lower offers from buyers if now they have to factor in additional cost of paying their own agent directly. Or the buyer's commission could be negotiated in the purchase price, the purchase offer made to the seller. For instance, it would look something like buyer to offer X amount of money to purchase the home, and then the seller to pay 2.5% of the buyer's agent commission. Now, this is something that the buyer would write in their offer, asking if the seller would agree to compensate their agent. That would be another option. There are other options available. I'm not going to cover them all right now. What does this mean for your listing strategy? Well, as a seller, it means that you'll need to carefully consider how your commission offer or lack thereof might impact the attractiveness of your home listing to the buyer, especially if you choose to offer no commission to pay the buyer's agent commission or very little commission, and your listing might be less attractive to some buyers who might have to pay for the agent's commission directly because they're already strapped for cash with a down payment and closing costs. This is going to have some drastic changes on how you strategize to price your property. So it'll be more important than ever to have a well thought out strategy. And of course, I will be here to guide you through those new dynamics. Now let's look at the buyer's perspective, because there the changes are even more important. This information will help you understand the full cost of buying a home as a buyer and how much of that might need to come out of your pocket directly. There's going to be something that we used to always be in our forms, that our agreements with buyers, something that's called a buyer-broker agreement. It was kind of optional before, and a lot of times we would work with a new buyer just on a relationship basis. It has now become mandatory. Just like a home seller would always sign a representation agreement with their listing agent to sell their home, now the buyers, if they want to view homes listed on the MLS with a realtor, they are now required by law to sign a representation agreement with the agent of their choosing. The buyer-broker agreement is now mandatory no matter what realtor you work with, and this is nationwide. This is a huge change. This agreement will formalize your relationship with your real estate agent. It'll clearly outline the services that they will provide and how they will be compensated. This is a big shift because in many cases, buyers really haven't had to think much about their agent's commission. It was simply included in the price they were paying for the property. So now this agreement will make sure that buyers are fully informed and have a clear understanding of their agent's role and the commission payment structure. The buyer-broker agreement will need to state the length of the representation. It'll be a maximum of 3 months, and of course you can renew this agreement if you haven't purchased a house within the first 3 months. And it'll have to also state the amount that you as the buyer will be willing to pay your agent for their professional services, especially in the cases where the seller is not willing to pay the buyer's agent commission or very little. The commission paid the buyer to their agent could be a percentage of the purchase price. It could be a flat fee. It could even be on an hourly basis. It's for you and your buyer's agent to negotiate. And by the way, it still remains to be seen whether the banks, the lenders, will allow in the future to eventually let the buyers include the buyer's agent's commission in the purchase loan, which would be very convenient if they could do that. It would make things a lot easier. So the impact that this is going to have on your home search. One of the major changes, one of the other major change that we're going to start having to deal with is that the buyer's agent's commission used to conveniently be listed on each listings in the MLS. This will no longer be allowed. It will no longer show how much commission the seller might offer to compensate the buyer's commission. This means that for every property as a buyer that is listed on the MLS and that you are interested in visiting with your agent in person, the agent will have to call each listing agent individually, confirm with that agent that they do have, that you as a buyer's agent have a buyer-broker agreement signed because it's mandatory. And they will have to ask, hey, is the seller has agreed to pay a compensation to the buyer's agent? And if so, what is the amount? If the seller is not willing to pay any concession or a very small amount that might not cover all the hard work that the buyer's agent is going to do for you, and since the buyer's agent cannot work for free, I hope everybody agrees on that, then the buyer will have several options. One of them, the first option, the buyer can choose to simply skip this property altogether because he or she values the great security of having a professional walk them through the sometimes complicated home purchase process, inform them about all the inspections they can or should do, and any other due diligence they might not be familiar with. And they would want to be represented in what is probably going to be the most important purchase of their lifetime. Second option, the buyer can agree to view the property even though the seller is not going to pay any compensation to the buyer's agent, and they will hold up to the agreement that they had signed with their agent, which is to pay their commission. Or if the seller was agreeing to pay a very small amount, but not sufficiently really to cover the buyer's agent's hard work, then you as a buyer will pay the difference. And this will be done through escrow. Third option, the buyer can just decide to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to work without a professional representation. I'm going to go in at this by myself, especially if you're a new buyer, a first-time buyer. I would say this is a very, very risky approach because there are so many risks involved in buying a property in California or just anywhere. The fourth option, the buyer can choose to be represented by the seller's agent, which also comes with a very, very high risk, because keep in mind that the seller's agent's first and foremost fiduciary is always going to be to the seller, not to you, the buyer. They will represent you, but their fiduciary duty will be to the seller. So final thoughts. I understand that these changes can make you feel a little bit overwhelmed. I know that us as agents, we are feeling very overwhelmed. We are still in the process of learning these new chances, but remember, whether you're buying or selling, these shifts are ultimately about giving you more control and more transparency in your real estate transactions. I will always be here to help you navigate this new landscape, ensuring you that you are informed and confident in every step of the way. If you have any questions about the NAR settlement and how it might impact your plans, or if you want to discuss this new buyer-broker agreement and how we can work together, please don't hesitate to reach out. As always, I'm always here to provide guidance and make sure that you make the best decisions in your situation. Again, keep in mind that I am not a real estate attorney, that I am not trained in real estate law, and that every situation is different. So if you have any specific case that you're not sure about and that you want to talk about the contract, you should talk about it with a real estate attorney. Again, please give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to helping you with your future real estate needs. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.